it requires the fact that since it usually uses 3.5 gigahertz channel, it requires far more, the towers as they call them in normal parlance. So that is a significant investment. For Singapore, Singtel, it's quite easy because the landmass is very small. But say if Bharti Airtel were to try and do a standalone network in India, it's a significant investment. I mean, not only Bharti, any other telco. And while the money, I'm sure, can be found, but the thing is the business case. So I'm turning my question around slightly. You see, one of the biggest things, especially in a standalone network, is you can slice and dice the network and give dedicated
slices and
quality
for performance.
Yeah. So, but is there an interest in industry for such innovation? I mean, supply chain would love it, I know, but would other industries?
So when you say that, so if you look across, even across the region, I say very, very diverse region. If you refer to something like manufacturing or something, there's already factories across the region who are using Wi-Fi or mine sites using 4G.
Yeah, Industry 4.0 type prototypes.
But from a technology performance, comparison, I mean, Wi-Fi is public spectrum. It's exposed to vagaries of interference and things. 4G doesn't have the performance, the network performance controls as 5G. And so there is industries where those like latency and the throughputs and everything else are very critical. I mean, an example here is like Changi Airport. Yeah. And I know at Changi that they've tried things like Wi-Fi and 4G because they have lots of autonomous vehicles and things already. And I mean, they noticed that when it comes down to occupational health and safety and things, the reliability of the connection and things like that are issues. Yeah. And 5G can address that.
Yeah.
So it comes down to, there is definitely technology performance benefits. It is what is the value of that performance benefits. And, realistically across the region, if you're in a factory where 10% of the workers' time goes out time and have a smoke, is introduction of 5G going to, change performance, efficiency? Well, it might do, but maybe if you stop the guy going outside for a smoke for 10 minutes every hour, you might get a bigger one. So I think it's on the cycle of maturity, and even there's lots of use cases on ports and airports around the world and things like that. And obviously the more advanced ones where performance is measured in seconds and throughput is measured in thousands and stuff like that. 1% or a couple of percent or 5% improvement makes a significant economic difference. And that's why I say in some sense I compare it to like Formula One, because those real high performance enterprise things will invent things and it'll trickle down. And I mean I've seen examples of industrialized 5G boxes, and then they trickle down to what looks like a Wi-Fi router. So this is the heavy-duty mining environment, and here's the one that you can use in your office at home. But the performance characteristics deliver the same.
No, but would you agree to a statement that 5G success will depend on enterprise use cases, because increasingly telcos are finding out that their enterprise business has to be at least 50% of their gross revenue in order to survive.
Well, I mean, certainly the forecast for 5G's impact on the economy is built a lot on the enterprise transformation and the contribution to the economy. And so that, I think, will come. And there's no reason to not think that is coming. Obviously, it's a challenge for, as that pie grows, as to who's taking how much of that pie. So there is the challenge to get beyond connectivity, but that's been a challenge for the industry for a long time. And so I would say, if you look out into the future, beyond 5G, there'll be a 6G and whatever that will come. I think from here we have marked a turn from introducing now a mobile technology which goes above and beyond just mobilizing or above and beyond just digitizing, to allow real innovation. and it takes a bit for that ecosystem to get going. And one of the things we focus at GSMA is, we have some communities like our 5G, APAC 5G industry community, where we look to bring together different stakeholders across different verticals, so manufacturing, healthcare and logistics, to help share information about what's working, whatever, to reduce the time to knowledge, reduce the learning time, and to help mobilize a greater ecosystem. And I think that will drive the success. And mobile operators know they have to participate in that ecosystem and be part of it and go beyond connectivity to actually see growth. But if you look at, I saw a report yesterday that globally, so the advanced countries using 5G, so like China and Korea, actually, COVID impact aside, actually you're seeing those countries go from a flat to slightly declining revenue base to actually growth of a couple of percent. And I think the potential is there for operators, and the economic potential for nations is significant.
Yeah.
So it will happen, but you can't expect everything to happen from day one.
No, true. No, but if I would ask you, what would you think is the top 3 use cases for the enterprise that you see happening first? Could you?
So what we see is where is the innovation being focused?
Yeah. And where is the visible end products coming through?
Yeah. And so at the first level, I would say it's asset intensive, geographically contained areas, ports, airports, mine sites, things like that. We've got massive asset moving and mobility, things like that. High use for CCTV and high quality CCTV. I mean, it's remarkable how much difference you can, like if you're using 5G, the quality of the video allows AI and a whole bunch of other things to happen. Where we've all got CCTV at home or something or other, when you turn it on, I mean, you can barely make out the blobs of who's moving around. So 5G has a massive potential there. If you go down to the next level, we see like key industries is around healthcare, logistics. So you can say ports and airports relate to that, but also other logistics of moving around, distribution, like the DHLs of the world.
UPS is already, DHL and UPS are already doing a lot of distribution.
And then manufacturing. And because in advanced countries, manufacturing are already using like Wi-Fi and 4G and things like that. And I mean, you also need to consider in some of these use cases, they're industries where, there's obviously an infrastructure cycle themselves. They build a new factory or whatever else. They don't swap their wireless technology every year. And so there's a bit of a cycle to play out. But certainly, we see even in Thailand, a lot of high-tech manufacturing trying 5G use cases, and obviously in China, a lot of things happening. I mean, the efficiency gained, as I say, in an advanced manufacturing facility can be significant, and the enthusiasm, I think, for enterprise to get into it, sometimes a bit of an education piece, but I think you get an idea from the amount of vendors or systems integrators and people like that getting into this space, that they see the potential beyond simple science projects, but actually can deliver real commercial value. We'll only see it grow from here.
So if would you hazard to put a date or year by when we see significant advances in these areas?
Well, I mean, it's already happening now.
It is, but
like where, I mean, part of the challenge obviously is turning a pilot or turning a innovation into a scalable product off the shelf. So when I talk about large-scale factories and airports, I mean the stuff is happening now, but they're also incredibly complex environments. Those things, it's not just mobilizing something. It's not just giving somebody something thing. So there's a lot of processes. There's a lot of systems to be integrated in the back to take the benefit. Because if all it is a bit faster, then actually that hasn't changed much about the business. What we're talking about with 5G, and also as part of a portfolio, obviously, of other technologies, AI, big data, AR, VR, as those things come together, you'll see this boom. And the challenge, because I mean, in an airport or something, to bring all the things together, you know, moving vehicles, planes, people, everything else, is a lot of stakeholders to come together. And, you know, it's hard to do all at once, so they do little trickle bits. I think we'll start to see, you know, like those real champion cases emerge over the next year or so. And then, you know, you trickle down, you know, and then it won't be many years before, you know, in any modern airport that you expect your experience to be very 5G dependent.
Yeah, totally autonomous. Yeah, everyone used to say, once 5G comes in, you'll have all self-driving cars running around the road, and everything will be done. So, in reality, that's going to happen, but maybe much further down, because it's less of a priority than the sectors which you mentioned. Would you agree on that?
I think we can often be guilty that we measure progress, maybe with certain KPIs or things like that, which are not necessarily mapped against, you know, like a real timeline. You know, like, so we say, oh, 5G networks have launched, or Singtel 95% population coverage. Yes. So we think, oh, next week that's going to happen. As I say, you know, it took to get this level of penetration of 5G around the world in 4G. It took 7 years. We're at year 3. To get to where we are now, so about 2/3 of the world's population is now on 4G, and in Asia Pacific, we have about another year or so to go before 4G will peak. Okay? So, I mean, you're talking 14 years after launch, 2/3 of the population. But there's still countries which are, you know, are nowhere near that. And so, you know, I think we just need to understand that things don't magically happen overnight. I mean, even on your home, you know, when was the last time you bought a new TV? You know, you buy a TV, it takes 5 or, I don't know, 10 years or something or other. And so the chance for you to, not that you would have a TV with 5G, but the example of, you know, the chance for you to have a 5G TV, I mean, in your purchase cycle, might be 5 or 10 years away.
True. No, I fully agree with you. The other point is, one of the points I want to check with you. One is, you know, till 4G, the innovation cycle was led by the US and Europe, whereas the Asia Pacific region played catch up. But in 5G, do you think that's going to sort of flip on its head, in the sense that the real innovation, I mean, innovation not just in networks, but the use cases, as we just discussed, will likely to be here in this region, in places like Korea, maybe Singapore also, and then it sort of trickles down to Europe and America?
I think definitely, and I think actually even during 4G, that center of gravity, so that innovation center of gravity, actually changed. I'll give you an example. I mean, you know, it's only 15 more years ago, you know, in the middle of 3G, say early 4G, globally the world would talk about mobile first nations, you know, nations where the first time you use the internet is on a phone or something or other, in some sort of like, you missed out, you know, it was a negative that you didn't have a PC, you hadn't enjoyed the full internet experience. In actual fact, now that we have such large mobilized mobile first populations in the region, actually is an innovation advantage, because adoption of payments and things. I mean, you know, I remember a long time ago when I was with Vodafone, you know, getting people to buy something on the mobile phone was very hard, because they wanted to use the PC. They trusted the PC more than the phone. But actually, across Asia Pacific now, I mean, the idea of paying things on your phone is, you know, it's not a problem. And so I think, personally, I mean, we also see in the numbers. I mean, there's the massive scale of the China market for 5G, obviously. But even just across the region, youthful demographic, technology savvy, willing to adopt, don't have some of the barriers, inherent sort of cultural barriers maybe to adopting mobile as an advantage for innovation, especially, well, in the consumer space, but also in the enterprise space, because they're more willing to consider and explore.